Discussing snow. As everyone realizes, this is a tough winter. Also, as everyone knows, we're expecting more snow Wednesday night. DPW workers have completed a Herculean effort so far with all the storms to date. Garwood continues, in our opinion, to have the best plowed streets in Union County. Due, however, to the amount, height, and duration of the snow and its conversion into ice, problems have developed. The DPW staff has experienced its first injury to one of its workers who hurt his back. In addition, the 7 crew members have been out for 15 hours at a time, plowing, snow blowing, and shoveling the snow. We want to thank them personally for their dedication. Wednesday evening and Thursday morning, they'll be out again. We thank all residents who have shoveled their sidewalks, opened up the street corners, cleaned out their driveways, and we implore them to continue to do these tasks for the duration of the winter. I specifically ask all residents to shovel their sidewalks, driveways, and corner openings, if applicable, as soon as possible after the storms. Borough ordinance requires that this work be completed within 24 hours of the snowstorm completion. Regardless of the requirement, I trust that we've all learned that the sooner we remove the snow, the less ice develops. We also remind residents not to direct the snow from their snow blowers into the street. This is also against borough ordinance and only results in ice in the street. Please also don't rush to put your cars back into the streets as soon as it stops snowing. Please make certain the DPW plows have completed their runs. Cars end up being plowed in, and it only creates future additional problems for the car owners and the DPW. Finally, we ask our residents take note that DPW staff is only 7 guys. They will not be able to pick up garbage on the days they have to plow. We ask that you please do not put your garbage out for pickup on those days. Placement of garbage in the streets forces the snowplow driver to plow further away from the curb, thereby creating a narrower path in the street for cars and emergency vehicles to traverse the street. This has created problems on Willow, Winslow, and Anchor Streets, and has resulted in the staff having to go back to those streets and physically remove the snow from them. This places additional strain on the crew and obviously increases our snow removal costs tremendously. Under the subjects, the committee also discussed the bulk pickup schedule and recommends that we schedule 2 pickups for 2014. The first one immediately after the annual Spring Channelite Garage Sale, and the second one during the week of October 14th. Finally, we also discussed the Garwood Brook, and we are recommending that Jim, Don, and I prepare the promised letter to all property owners along the brook regarding do's and don'ts, and distribute it soon. And we do not have any pesticide spraying in 2014. We did not spray in 2013, and there were no repercussions. Our recommendation is that we do the same this year. And we did spray the last time, you're correct. You know, it's funny, I penciled that in. That's not on my report. I should have written that. But that's where we are. We're recommending the same thing. And that's it for my report, Mayor.
Thank you. You have heard the report of streets, roads, and ecology. Do I have a motion to accept?
Be received and spread across the minutes, recommendation there and be adopted.
And do I have a second?
Second.
Any comments?
I have a couple, Mayor. First of all, I have to say I'm very happy to hear that your committee has changed its recommendation on the bulk pickups and went from 1 to 2. I think that's a benefit to the residents to have more options rather than less for something of that sort, especially since it is on their dollar now at the present time. Also, I would like to comment with the pesticides. I'm hesitant to agree with not spraying the brook, mainly because as I sit as the liaison to the Board of Health, we have a lot of complaints about rats, and I know we went into this last year, and I'm sure you will say similar, but this is a problem even during the winter. There are complaints being reported and investigated, and it's my understanding from receiving an email from the health officer about this, that by having the vegetation cleared one way or the other, that then helps those pest control come in, and they can find the burrows of the rats and do what they have to do to try to decrease the rat population of the brook. Hopefully, meaning less complaints from the residents. So, from that point of view, I have to say, inclined to support spraying or some method of clearing that brook that would work for this borough to try to avoid this issue of the rats.
The only thing I'd say is vegetation doesn't attract rats.
Right.
What attracts rats is food. And in sending out the notice to the property owners, advising them whether they have compost, whether they have garbage, whatever, okay, not to put food out. I really think that that's what will prevent any rats from suddenly being there because there's vegetation in the brook. The other thing is, you know, when Jim, Don, and I walked the brook, we certainly, I mean, Jim, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but we certainly didn't see any evidence, you know, of rats there. There's certainly no burrows. One of the things, I don't want to jump, but when we get to, well, let me put it this way. We know that some work has to be done on the gabion wall, but I don't, you know, this is a drinking water source, and I still don't see the need to spray pesticides in a drinking water source. And I don't really think there's a correlation between vegetation and rats.
It's my understanding, and I do agree with you, the vegetation doesn't create the rats. But if they're living in that area, then apparently pest control can better treat it for the rat issue if it's cleared out. That's just my understanding. I inquired this with the health officer, as I know this is an annual issue for us. So just want to express that.
Okay, any other comments?
I actually have a question.
Yes, sir.
Does the health department actually recommend spraying the brook? Is that what they recommend doing because of the rat issue? Is that something we can find out?
That's the impression I got. I can always double check that in March. It's only a month from now. I can definitely, you can email her so we can get a quicker answer. So we'll get an answer then from the health department. It's not the Board of Health, but the health department, what the professionals recommend in a sense, right?
I'll email Megan, she's her title.
Health officer.
Yeah.
Okay.
If I can just add my comments on it, we've been spraying the brook every year from what I understand, and from the paper that I have here at a cost of doing it again, this program costs us what here, $1,900? Is that right?
Yes.
And from what I understand, we still have this problem year after year with the rats. So I don't know that it's actually working, spraying it. So my thought is maybe we actually try it, sending the notices out to the residents, and if it is a food source that they're going after and not necessarily the vegetation, maybe we just try something different this year. And it could be at a cost savings if we don't spray it and people get rid of the food and we get rid of the rats that way. Just something different.
With that being said, I think that's a great idea. And if you could, Tina, maybe add to your email to the health officer if they could somehow determine if they felt there was a fluctuation in the rat complaints in conjunction with where we didn't spray for a long time last year. It wasn't on our typical schedule, I know, it was delayed, so I'm wondering if they feel that that caused the rat issue to increase. Maybe it did or didn't, but we should probably ask them.
Just one other thing I just wanted to mention. Last night was a great view into real, cheek to jowl local government. We had a angry constituent show up at the chairman's house. He was invited into the meeting and talked to the head of the DPW, and I think the chairman handled it very well, and so did Fred. One thing I just want to say, and I've heard this before from a number of people, and I've experienced this myself, especially with corner properties. It is most definitely by law, and I think by common sense, the burden of the corner property owner to open up at least one means of exit, one means of egress to the street, okay? However, what we've noticed is it is burdensome for some people, particularly when it's really cold and there's been multiple snowfalls, and after the snowplows have pushed up what's now a wall of ice. So the gentleman who was there last night was really saying, hey, listen, I'm kind of between a rock and a hard place there, kind of literally. I totally agree with that. However, I don't think we should change the law. What I like to do is look for private remedies for this. If there's anything we could do along the lines of leaf raking, if there are people for whom it's a physical burden, a financial burden, or whatever, if we could somehow do some type of clearinghouse of getting, and that doesn't have to be done through this council, okay? It could be done by knocking at the neighbor's door, of trying to figure out, hey, are you able to go out and do this? If you're not, can you afford to pay somebody? If you can we pair you up with somebody? And I really think that that's what it is, because basically what happens is, if we went ahead and put on the DPW the burden of going ahead and opening the corners all around the borough, it would be adding an entire other obligation to their responsibilities, and I think would require more manpower, definitely more funding, and a heck of a lot more time. So I think it should definitely rest with the property owner. That being said, I don't think that that necessarily means we should be heartless about it. I think bad situations make bad law, and I would really be loath to change the ordinance. But what I'd like to do is not be heartless, to be, hey, if you don't have the money, or you don't have somebody to help you out, then you know, fine, we're Garwood, let's try to step up and help them.
Well, in all fairness, this gentleman's complaint, he just didn't feel that it was his responsibility to have to clear a wall of ice that was put there from snow that fell on the street, that then the DPW pushed up onto the curb on his side and made a 2-foot-high wall of ice, and now all of a sudden it's his responsibility to clear. That was his main complaint.
Right. And I'd like to second what Jim said and kind of get back to what Ms. Leonard brought up before.
What about downtown?
What about, well, let me
Well,
answer, let me,
yeah.
if I may, Mayor, let me go that way
Yeah.
first. Yeah, number one, and the chief knows this, and Fred knows this, the three of us, and obviously the crew themselves, have spent a lot of time, okay, advising corner property owners, forget about a corner, anywhere they live, that they're responsible for their sidewalk. There's some people who still don't realize that they have to shovel their own sidewalk. So yes, the police have gone out, the police have absolutely knocked on doors. We've given them addresses, they've gotten addresses themselves. Corner properties, they have gone to corner property owners and have asked them, requested that they open up the intersection. I was coming home last night and there was a guy out there at 6 o'clock with an ice pick, making this up, you know, hydraulic jack, to open it up. Part of the problem is the fact that, the way Fred explains, we've had so much snow and it's piled up so high. The streets that I mentioned, people had garbage cans in the street during plowing, and so consequently the plows couldn't get close to the curb. So they're 3 feet out from the curb. Then when you park a car on either side of the street, suddenly that in the middle, you can't fit an emergency vehicle down. So we have to address that. That's why they're out physically removing the snow. But as Jim said, the cost, we'd have to hire another person, really, truly. And for the DPW to go out and open up every single intersection in town. You have hundreds of intersections. Every one of them, I'm sorry, let me rephrase that. You have dozens of intersections, every one of them has 4 corners, so we have hundreds of corners. That's an impossibility. You can't have the DPW go out and do it. But we are looking at every one, we are monitoring. We did have the DPW go out and open up where the crossing guards were, and we're doing the best we can. As I said tonight, and I asked the newspaper, if you can, please let residents know, the faster you get out there to take care of the snow, easier it'll be, and we'll open up those corners, earlier. DPW has been told, I spoke to Fred today, do not take the plows and plow at the corners, into those corners. Push it further out into the other street, let the guy coming down the other street then pick it up and push it further down. Because as Ann said, if you see a lot of the corners where they have not been able to open them up, you'll see the plow, imprint right there. And I did say it to Fred, and he does know it, and he's going to pass that on to the guys Thursday night. What we're hoping is that, obviously, we think they're going to have to go back out Wednesday night, Thursday morning, and if everybody's off the street, there are no garbage cans in the street, they can actually push what's there now a little further back and open things up a little bit. And that will loosen, hopefully, I'm not a snow expert, but it'll loosen up the snow by the corners and they can open them up. And we are aware of the corner intersections. We are, trying to get them all open. And Mayor, as far as downtown, Fred and I believe the chief and I have discussed it. I've had so many conversations. I think the three of us have discussed it. We are not at the point right now where we're asking the DPW to do anything extra. I think, Jim, correct me if I'm wrong, you said a few years back we did do it. Yeah, the borough did do it, and it cost about $7,000, is that right?
Well, that was hauling the
Yeah,
actual snow out
understood.
of the middle of the
Well,
snow.
but that's what we might have to, we're not at that point
If
yet.
we're at that
Right
point.
now, we're just gonna see how this storm goes, hopefully we'll get
I
everything
just want
off.
to mention one thing that we're very aware of. You and I had a exchange. I've spoken with the chief. I had people calling me. And what I found very upsetting was when I looked out the window and a crossing guard was out there shoveling to make her workstation safe on North Avenue. That's my concern there, and there's been a series of articles in the Star Ledger today and yesterday about whose responsibility is it to remove the snow from bus stops and that sort of thing. My personal feeling, and I know that the chief and I talked about it, is that if the school is in session, we have a responsibility to make sure our crossing guards have a safe work environment and the children have a safe way to cross North Avenue, South Avenue, and those few intersections where there are traffic lights and they're heavily traveled. Those are my primary concerns. Grew up on a corner lot. My father paid me handsomely to go back and shovel. So, that's my concern, and I would hope that we would pay attention to those
Right.
very busy corners.
Absolutely.
Okay?
Go ahead.
Any other comments?
Yeah, I just wanted to say something. When we send out the garbage schedule, could we have something on there where if you're scheduled for garbage that day and it's snowing, don't put your cans out? Because I think that a lot of what happened on my block, people just didn't know. So they just left them out there, and they left them out there, and they left them out there. Secondly, as far as the amount of money that was spent, for that snow removal, that wasn't just the crosswalks, that was the entire downtown.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, no, yeah.
Okay, because we did have the 32 inches of snow in that one shot
Right.
right after Christmas.
Yeah, no, we're aware of that.
About the garbage cans, I also made a suggestion last night that, in our meeting, that when we get those Nextel alerts and those emails and all
Oh,
that, when we're asking people to remove the cars off the street, if we could probably remind them to not put out the garbage cans at that time also.
We do put the alerts out for that.
Right, can you
But
add
we-
to that?
We don't get the word that garbage is canceled,
We're telling you now.
so. garbage is
We're telling you
canceled
now, for this Wednesday coming up,
All right.
tell them, Thursday morning, do not put your garbage cans out. And I think what we have to do is amend the ordinance, but, where we're gonna say, when there's 3 inches of snow or more, no garbage pickup, and you take the cans back. I mean, 7 guys, they can't do everything. And the other thing is, in all honesty, I know the chief and I have discussed this, when residents have the garbage cans out for 24 hours, I'm sorry, go knock on their door, tell them to pull it back. Because what the DPW advised me is, they said to me, do you know what it's like to pull out a 55-gallon garbage can when it's stuck in the ice and it's been there for 2 days? That doesn't help backs either. So I encourage the police, if somebody puts out a garbage can for Thursday and it's sitting there Friday or it's sitting there Saturday, absolutely Saturday, knock on the door, tell them to take it back.
It's a lot of garbage cans.
Understood. And so it'll be a lot of knocking. We do it once, and they'll get the message, and then we'll amend the ordinance. We'll put it in the notice that goes out on the computer, and we'll try it that way.
One final question I just have. Have to ask, do we have the dump truck in yet?
No, and that was a discussion too. I had made the comment last time that I did not guarantee, but I was hoping to say tonight, no, we do not. We spoke to Fred about that last night, and he's, not making any promises. They had 120 days from the date of the order. The order was placed in November, so it could be March. He was hoping last time that we might have delivery date. Do not have a delivery date, and that also affects us because that could plow. And right now, we're actually using some pickup trucks to plow, and they don't have the strength, obviously, of the bigger trucks, so that's hurting us too.
Yeah, with that being said too, as something like that, that equipment, comes out of finance. Well, it feels like that was ages ago, but I guess not, in a sense, time flies. But, it was my understanding that we would have it December, January, worst case scenario. So I know it's no one's fault, but it's just, of course, it's disappointing.
Sure. I agree.
I had to ask you that question, thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments? Okay, all in favor? Opposed? Thank you. Report for fire, Councilman Matthews.
No report, Mayor.
Finance, Councilwoman Tedisco.
Thank you, Mayor. Just a short report. As I mentioned earlier, the Finance Committee has had 2 meetings already about the budget, and there's plenty scheduled for us to keep this process moving. Of course, scheduling around this weather hasn't exactly been fun, but what are you going to do? We plan to hold true to all the deadlines that were sent out that I mentioned last time. And in response to Councilman Matthews' question earlier, I'll have that information for next meeting about the initial look at the actual dollar amount of net impact to the taxpayers. And that's all for my report, Mayor. Thank you.
Do you have further report of finance? Do I have a motion to accept?
Motion to accept?
Second?
Second.
Who's sitting there, sorry?
Dan?
Mayor, one question?
Any comments?
Sarah, I know I asked if you could ask the division chairman when they're coming in also about their capital. Are they advising you, are you getting any information?
Yes, we have been collecting information. It's not complete yet, but we are collecting that
All right.
information.
One thing, I had realized when I read the report tonight, and I don't know if anybody else will mention it to you, but if you can speak to Don, see if he can get a cost regarding the capital repairs for the brook work.
Okay.
That'd be appreciated. Thanks.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. All in favor? Opposed? Buildings and grounds, Councilman Petrozelli.
No report, Mayor.
Laws and license, Council President Palmer.
Thank you, Mayor. Tonight, there are 2 applications for raffle license. Laws and License Committee recommends the following: the adoption of resolution number 14-142 for the application of 1 off-premise 50/50 raffle license and 1 on-premise merchandise raffle to be held April 6th at the Westwood by Summit Animal Rescue Association. That is all for my report, Mayor.
You have heard the report of laws and license, so I have a motion to accept.
Be received and spread across the minutes recommendation, Mayor, be adopted.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you. Any comment? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Recreation, Councilman Petrozelli.
No report, Mayor. Next meeting is the 19th.
Okay. Council, Committee on Aging, Council President Palmer.
No report, Mayor.
Library, I have a report here from our director, who's, I understand, back to work part-time. This was in the last report, but she talks about Love Your Library Month in February, and what they call blind dates are available. You come in, you select the books from those that are at, and you don't open the wrapper until you get home. Then you promise to read the first 50 pages and either continue reading it or return it to the library for what they're calling another blind date. There will be a brief review form included with each book, and every borrower who completes the form and returns it to the library on or before March 14th will be entered in a random drawing for an unspecified prize. And this is a great way to meet a new author you've never read or discover a new genre you've never tried before. Also on Tuesday the 25th, author and illustrator Kevin Boyce will present a program at the library at 7 o'clock entitled Niagara, and it's a slide presentation regarding the history of the Niagara River and the falls. Student space registration is required for the event, and it may be done in person at the library or by phone at their interactive calendar page. She also reminds us that due to the inclement weather, if before you go over to the library, you might want to give them a call and check out to make sure that it's open. And that the library will be closed on Monday, February 17th, in recognition of President's Day. Let's see. And one other thing to mention is that fines were raised on the books, just for the general public to know, from 10 cents to 25 cents. And residents are reminded that it's not out of line with what's being charged in the rest of the towns in the area. So circulation for January was 1,288 books taken out, 958 people came through the front door of the library. So the library is a very busy place. That is also my report. Do I have a motion to accept?
Be received and spread across the minutes.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any comments or questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? School Board Liaison, Councilwoman to discuss.
No report, Mayor, meeting in week or two.
Okay, I just want to point out one thing to those people who are here and have children in the school district. I don't think anybody does, but if you know someone who does, school is on for Friday, I understand. Where it's supposed to be day off.
That's from the children's up.
So, people seem to think they counsel knows everything. Okay, celebration of public events and holidays liaison, Councilman Martin.
No report, Mayor.
Union County Air Traffic Noise Advisory Board, Councilman Matthews.
No report, Mayor. We have our next meeting is in March.
Thank you. And the Athletic Hill Complex Project Committee Representative, Councilman Petrozelli.
Thank you, Mayor. The 2-week update, really nothing's been going on down there, other than the flooring and the walls for the structural insulated panels are installed. The roof structural insulated panels are about 60%, and the weather is still holding up the site work. The next monthly construction meeting is February 18th at 10:30. The February 5th meeting was canceled due to snow. That's all from my report.
You have heard the report of the Athletic Field Complex Project Committee Representative. Do I have a motion to accept?
Be received and spread across the minutes.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any comments?
Yes, Mayor. So, if the February 5th meeting was canceled, does this new meeting get a new schedule?
Any other comments?
Actually, I do. And this is sort of second what Councilwoman Palmer was saying about Don not being here. I had some questions for him, so I'll save those for next time. But based on what's been happening over there and the weather and everything, is there anything projected to be completed over these next 2 weeks that we can take like a short-term look at, and so we can be able to check back next time? Anything they said that they plan on
I can
doing?
ask at the next meeting just to see what the schedule is for the next 2 weeks. Just to see.
Okay.
I mean, the thing is that once these buildings get built, just like they did, with the storage building, they can do the interior work. And that was started on that building. The thing is, unfortunately, the weather is really becoming a problem for them to get the main structure done. So once that's up, then the interior work, can be done. But I'll ask them at the next meeting, just to see what a 2-week window is.
Okay.
Okay, you have heard the report of the Athletic Field Complex. We have a first and a second. Any other comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Officers' reports, Ms. Ariano.
Chief of Police Bruce Underhill monthly reports for January 2014. Municipal Tax Collector Aggie Creswell monthly report for January 2014. And Municipal Court Administrator Martha Marino court operations for 2013.
May I have a motion to accept the officers' reports as presented?
I'll make a motion to accept the officers' reports as presented
May
there.
I have a second?
Second.
Thank you. Public comment, is there anyone in the audience who wishes to address mayor and council? Please step to the microphone, state your full name and address, and please limit your comments to 3 minutes.
2301 Center Street. I have a comment about us shoveling. I'm a senior citizen, and I live on a busy street. I've been out at all hours of the day and night shoveling. There are points where you can't. You clean out your driveway, you clean out to the street. The guy comes by, he pushes all this from the street, ice, snow, whatever you got. I've had it 8 inches, 9 inches high, 3 and 4 feet out into the curb, into the street. And I've been out there many times doing this. You cannot shovel ice, snow, and compacted snow and ice. I even went with the snowblower. I bought a snowblower so I wouldn't have a heart attack. And it got stuck into the snowblower. I don't have a commercial snowblower like the DPW has. What do you expect from an individual in this kind of a situation? I had to go out with an ice pick to try to go through the ice, to even try to shovel it. And then you come by and fill it all up again. And I happened to live on a corner. And you try to shovel a little path there. And you got the rubber mat there. And you can't shovel with the rubber mat, it keeps hitting the rubber mat. Then they come by and push all the snow back. I've had snow on the corner, right into the sidewalk, that high over the years. How are you going to shovel that? I don't think this is my responsibility to die because of that. We do our best, but we can't do the DPW work. We don't have that commercial equipment. You can't shovel snow and compacted ice, and it's impossible. No matter how you try, you can't do it. So we try. I'm sure a lot of us try, but it's impossible when the snow and ice and compact keep getting pushed back in after you do this. And I've even had times where they come flying down the street and all of a sudden snow goes back on your sidewalk. But thank God I called them about it and said, slow down a little bit, it seems to help. But I don't know what you expect from the people. We try, but it's impossible when it's 3, 4, 5 feet and out into the street and all the rest of it. How could you keep up with this? They go throughout the night doing this. The average homeowner can't keep up with it. We try our best if it's a little lightweight snow, but when it gets like that, it's impossible.
Any other comments? Public comments? They're seeing none, we'll close the public comment portion of the meeting. And we'll move on to unfinished business. Are there any resolutions that anyone wants to leave from the consent agenda?
Yes, Mayor, can I have 14-147 deleted, please?
May I have a motion to adopt the consent agenda as amended?
I'll make a motion to adopt the consent agenda as amended, Mayor.
Is there a second?
Second.
Roll call, please, Ms.
Council President Palmer?
Aye.
Councilman Martin?
Aye.
Councilman Matthews?
Aye.
Councilman Niersted?
Yes.
Councilman Petrozelli?
Aye.
Councilwoman Disco?
Aye.
Resolution 14-147. Consent agenda. May I have a motion to adopt resolution 14-147?
I'll make a motion to adopt resolution 14-147, Mayor.
Do I have a second?